Hello Guardians and welcome back Warlocks. I'm Profane and thank you as always for checking out the video. As we journey through the best builds in Destiny, we turn our attention towards an exotic build that's really flourished with recent changes. When Ash and Iron launched, Threadlings were given a 20% increase in damage, and we received new artifact mods with an acute focus towards strand affinities. This motivated a lot of players and content creators to build around the Swarmers, and for good reason, since this exotic creates Threadlings out of Tangles. But today we're looking at a different exotic, an exotic that's gotten massive improvements in its overall performance, and that's all thanks to these recent changes. And that exotic is the Mataiodoxia. This exotic chess piece provides arcane needles with a massive upgrade. This powered melee ability will be able to pierce through shields, which means it'll be effective against barrier champions. You get 3 charges of arcane needles, and in lower difficulty encounters, you'd be able to pierce those barrier shields with just 1 charge. But in Grandmaster level activities, it could take as many as 2 to break those shields, but a lot of that will depend on how you've set up your character stats. Arcane needles intrinsically unravel enemies, which applies continuous strand damage over an 8-second time frame, and when you strike an enemy with a needle, they will become marked. When those marked enemies are defeated, they will trigger a suspending detonation, which will suspend any enemy that's within a 4 to 5 meter radius. When you strike a marked enemy with a second needle, you will trigger an instant burst of suspending, so you have the opportunity to trigger back-to-back suspensions. And while those enemies are suspended, they'll continue to take damage from being unraveled. Whenever you defeat suspended enemies, and when you defeat enemies with arcane needles, you will receive bonus melee energy, allowing you to have a constant stream of unraveling and suspending. This provides 15% bonus energy with rank and file enemies, but as much as 100% bonus energy off of tier 4 combatants. And based on your character stat distribution, you could amplify those energy gains even more. With our melee stat governing the regeneration and damage of our arcane needle, we will want to focus into this stat above any other. By reaching 100 points, we will give any source of melee energy a 190% bonus. So if we had Pugilist, a weapon trait that provides 10% bonus melee energy, this would start producing 19%, and that bonus would carry over into the energy gains provided by the Mataiodoxia. And by reaching 200 points in our melee stat, we would be able to deal as much as 30% bonus damage with each needle, which will make them even more effective against enemy shields and barrier champions. If you are having trouble getting your melee stat to 200, then you might want to consider using font mods, as this would provide as much as 50 points to your melee stat, but that's only going to apply when armor charges are active. I find it to be more beneficial to go after Paragon armor with this build. That way you're getting a focus towards melee and super, but it's going to be either class or grenade stat that we really want to focus towards after melee, and that's because we'll be able to create Threadlings with both of these abilities. The Mataiodoxia would make for one hell of a build on the Strand subclass, and a lot of that has to do with the Thread of Evolution fragment, which would provide Threadlings with a 33% increase to their damage and traveling distance, and that's getting amplified right now because of the new artifact mod called Threadling Proliferation, which is going to create Threadlings when defeating enemies with strand weapons. But it's actually the Prismatic subclass that's going to provide us with the most benefits. We're able to pair arcane needles with Threadling grenades, Needle Storm, and Weaver's Call, so we're getting the majority of our strand features. But we're able to add in abilities like Phoenix Dive, which will give us Cure while we simultaneously create Threadlings. And since Threadling damage now generates bonus class energy, we'll be able to cast our Phoenix Dive much more often. We've also got the benefits of Devour thanks to Feed the Void, and that gives us a direct link into bonus grenade energy and bonus health restoration. This provides between 15 and 40% bonus grenade energy, providing us with a massive increase to the uptime of our Threadling grenades. With so much grenade and class energy getting generated, we'll be able to pump out an endless army of little green rats, and their jobs are going to be made much easier since most every enemy will be unraveled and suspended. Another big benefit in using Prismatic with the Mataiodoxia is that we have Transcendency, which gives us a temporary increase to the uptime of our grenade and melee. We'll have our combination grenade when transcendent, so the only way that we're able to create Threadlings when this is active is through the use of our Phoenix Dive, but we're still going to have our arcane needle getting regenerated lightning fast. When it comes to Prismatic Fragments, we're making use of Facet of Dawn, which will give our weapons a 20% increase in damage after striking enemies with our arcane needle. If we are using a heavy mix of solar weapons, we could utilize the benefits of Fever and Chill instead of Facet of Dawn. This artifact mod would give us radiance whenever landing consecutive precision shots with a solar weapon, but we intend on using kinetic and strained weapons more than anything, so this artifact mod won't really help us out. With Facet of Hope, we will receive bonus class energy whenever an elemental buff like Radiance is active. This provides 40% bonus energy, but it increases to 60% whenever 2 are active. We'll be able to trigger that second elemental buff with the use of Facet of Purpose, which will grant us with Woven Mail whenever we collect an Orb of Power. Woven Mail provides bonus damage resistance, and because of some of our new artifact mods, we'll get a few more benefits. With Tightly Woven equipped, we'll get an extra 20 points to our class and grenade stat whenever Woven Mail is active, which will directly improve our production of threadlings. And since we'll have Woven Mail and Radiance active, we'll be able to double down on the benefits of Shield Crush. This provides powered melee abilities with a 50% increase in damage and regeneration whenever Woven Mail is active, and when Radiance is active, we'll receive a 25% increase to the damage and regeneration of our grenade. Another new artifact mod that will really play into the use of threadlings will be Pack Tactics, which provides as much as a 30% increase in threadling damage, while giving them the ability to stun unstoppable champs. So we're really going to be able to tear into enemies with all these overpowered needles and threadlings. With Facet of Balance, we'll gain 10% bonus melee energy whenever rapidly defeating enemies with light base damage, and we'll gain 10% bonus grenade energy whenever we defeat them with darkness energy, so we've got a ton of different features providing us with loads of bonus energy. With how we're currently set up, Facet of Balance will generate more grenade energy than anything, so to maximize on the bonus melee energy, we'll need to be sure that we have a few light energy weapons equipped. The final fragment that we're using is Facet of Awakening, which will create elemental pickups as we defeat enemies. This will primarily create tangles for us, and because we have the Threaded Blast artifact mod, whenever tangles are created, a suspending detonation will be triggered, expanding on our ability to keep enemies immobilized, and that's a benefit that we'll also gain out of the Tangled Web artifact mod. When it comes to the best weapons to use with the Mataiodoxia, we've got a wide array of options. Strand weapons with Hatchling, Tear, and Slice are going to offer some of the greatest synergy. Legendary weapons with Pugilist or Grave Robber would be very cohesive towards our use of Arcane Needles, and Demolitionist could be a tremendous asset towards regenerating grenade energy. But another standout weapon trait is going to be Attrition Orbs. We get Woven Mail whenever we collect Orbs of Power, so the more orbs we can generate, the better our build will perform. When it comes to exotic weapons, the Final Warning, Quicksilver Storm, and Wishkeeper would be some incredible options within the Strand energy type, but it's a kinetic weapon that I find to be the most lucrative option. The Monte Carlo provides bonus melee energy on sustained damage. Kinetic weapons generate transcendency energy, and unlike Pugilist, you're not going to have to get a final blow for that bonus energy, so there's going to be a lot of incentive to use the Monte Carlo with the Mataiodoxia, including the fact that we have an entire armor set designed to improve the performance of kinetic weapons. With a 2-piece set of TechSec armor, you will deal 200% bonus damage to enemy shields, and with a 4-set bonus, you'd create concussive explosions whenever defeating high-value enemies and when breaking enemy shields. But you might find it more beneficial to run a 2-set of TechSec and a 2-set of Smoke Jumper. This way you'll take reduced damage after collecting an orb, but there's also the Bushido set, which would provide 30 points of health after defeating an enemy with a freshly drawn weapon, and you'd get that benefit out of wearing 2 pieces. And with that, I do believe we've covered just about everything that you need to know about running the Mataiodoxia here in Ashen Iron. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this exotic and all the recent changes with this update. Let us know how you feel down in the comments. If you need any help getting this build set up, then be sure to check out my Mobilytics and dim links, which are down below. That's going to wrap things up for today's video, but thank you as always for checking it out. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated, and both really do help support the channel, and so does being a member. So a big shout out and thank you to all of our channel members. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.